So here's what came with this guitar. We've got one of these little, cheap cables and some Allen wrenches. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of tailpieces like this in the world of Rickenbackers. The little squiggly design there. So, and that's Wally. Aw. What a cutie. Here's that little bridge cover. It's kind of an exaggerated shape compared to a real Rickenbacker one. It's kind of taller in the middle and just taller in general, I think. I can grab the one from my 360 and compare it if it matters. But sorry, this kitty, will you knock it off? Those are the knobs that came with it, nothing fancy. They look kind of like the old 60s Rickenbacker knobs, kind of like MXR knobs, but they're pretty small, and they definitely feel really cheap. Sorry for the shaky camera. This kitten is trying to eat the camera. But anyway, and there he is on top of the guitar. Kitty. Okay. Guitar came with regular strap buttons. They're in this bag. I guess you can't see them, but I mean, you know what they look like. Here's the wire. Here's the original wiring harness that came with it. Cheap switch. Kitty. And those cheap tiny potentiometers. They're all 500K. I swapped those out for CTS pots. Originally I went with 250K for the volumes and 500K for the tones, but I decided not to wire it the Rickenbacker way. That is, for Rickenbacker 3 pickup guitars, having the neck and middle together all the time. So bridge, all 3 pickups, or neck and middle. I figured it'd be more useful having the middle pickup on its own knob. So I'm substituting one of the tone pots for a middle pickup volume. And so the middle pickup is going to have 500K volume pot until I decide to change it. Okay, so here's what the pickguard looked like that came with this guitar. Really loud, sparkly, and it is quite translucent as well. The truss rod cover was just like it. I went ahead and ordered a pickguard from Pickguardian, but in the meantime, I decided to strip and paint the ones that came with this guitar. Well, this is the truss rod cover that was on this guitar, and I don't know if you can really see it, but the edges are really unfinished and like jagged and rough. It also came with one that matched the pickguard, and it had the, a fake Rickenbacker logo on top. This was my first attempt with stripping it with some lacquer thinner. I ended up messing up the Rickenbacker logo, which, I used this. I used this lacquer thinner to remove the old paint, and then based on recommendations I've seen on the forums and on some YouTube videos, I got some of this Testors metallic gold spray enamel. You want to use enamel and not lacquer on plexiglass. And for those wondering, this is the 1244T metallic gold is what you want. It's a very small can, but they have this at Hobby Lobby. That's where I got it. Michael's probably has it as well. I checked Walmart and I couldn't find it there, so your best bet is a hobby and craft store. All right, come on. So here's what I came up with. So that turned out okay. Again, I ordered a pickguard from Pickguardian, but in the meantime, I repainted the original pickguard that came with this. And you know, from the right angle, it looks pretty okay, I guess. When you get off to the side, you can kind of see where I didn't do a great job stripping all the original lacquer and cleaning it up, so it reacted a little bit. But from a bird's eye view, it looks pretty much fine. And at least the truss rod cover and the pickguard actually match. Here's my Pickguardian pickguard. I will pull that out. This one has a much higher quality finish. It's nice and smooth and shiny, and the edges feel really nice. The edges on this are really rough. Unfortunately, this color isn't going to match my truss rod cover, but that's life. If you have a Rickenbacker, doesn't matter if it's a Chinese one or a real Rickenbacker, if you're trying to repaint your plastics, keep in mind this tester's paint is not an exact match. It also came with some cheap Kluson style tuners. They worked just fine. I decided to replace them with these Grover Stay Tights. I'm not finished installing them, as you can see. I reused the bottom hole from the Chinese tuners because they lined up just fine. The top holes don't line up, so I'm going to have to fill and re-drill some. Now, this one bothers me because this will tell you a little bit about the quality control on these Chinese guitars. When I took off the original tuner, you could see where their first attempt at a screw hole had a screw broken off in it, so they had to drill a hole next to it, and that's why this tuner is tilted. Actually, you can see it. You can just barely see right there. There's a screw broken off in there. That is how this guitar came to me. So when I took off the original tuner, there were two holes, one with a broken off screw in it and another hole off to the side. That's why this tuner's crooked. I've got to either try to get that broken piece of screw out or just have it be tilted. The neck heel's not super oversized like it is on some of these Rickenbackers, and it did come to me with a 5-degree headstock angle, which is nice. And another thing they did pretty well is, I don't know how well my camera is going to illustrate this, but this little carve down here it's not bad. It looked a lot worse in the picture. It looked like a full-on 90-degree angle, but they did a halfway decent job. As you can see, I replaced that original tailpiece with a Rickenbacker one, and I replaced the strap buttons. I happen to have some extra from my 4003. I drilled out the holes and I tapped them to the right threading, and I stuck these in there. I put on these oven knobs. I really like the look of them. I know that's a matter of taste. I like them. I may replace the bridge in the future, but this one really isn't any worse than a Rickenbacker bridge, honestly. And I thought about putting a Bigsby on this, but if I want it to look like John Lennon's, then I would have to have the bow tie bridge, and I personally don't. And I like the look of the bow tie bridge, but I don't think that's a very good idea. I don't think that bridge makes a lot of sense to use with a Bigsby. So this is never going to be an accurate, John Lennon replica. I may get a Rickenbacker roller bridge. It'd be nice if I could find a Kaufman vibrola. Anyway, I digress. Lastly, I put some of those rubber grommets under the pickups too. It's hard to find the correct grommets at an affordable price, because if you go looking for Rickenbacker parts, these grommets are going to be really expensive. And the only cases that I found them at affordable prices happen to have like $35 shipping, so that's no good. But John Hall shared a link in one of the forums to a place that sells grommets, and they were extremely affordable. They have a plethora of sizes to choose from, so if you want to get fancy with your calipers and take an original Rickenbacker grommet, you can most definitely get the exact ones from that place. So I got a bunch of them for my 360-12, and I put some on this as well. Now these pickups obviously are not real Rickenbacker toasters, but also I've taken these apart, and these are actually humbuckers. So, they definitely don't sound in the same ballpark at all. My 360-12 has high gains, and I decided to order some real toasters for that. I may try them out in this just to see what it's like. I also ordered some Chinese toaster copies that have Alnico 5 pull pieces and all that, so I'll give those a shot in this guitar too. Anyway, bye for now.